Hey guys, I normally don't do voiceovers, but I feel like I need to explain some things in a bit more detail in this one. The first trick here was originally shared by Rez on Twitter, where he showed it was possible to solo jump from top hut to heaven. He couldn't find a lineup, but here's one where I used a macro to do it consistently. Otherwise, it's apparently one of the hardest jumps in the game right now. Here is also a walking version, where I used Alt for walking and Shift to crouch. This one is a bit more quiet as it only makes one step. Are macros allowed? Not really, since you can't use any automation for any reason. But keyboard softwares are whitelisted, so you can use it for practice. Also there is this silent drop down to hut. You can crouch walk off the edge and release W as soon as you're falling. Then you can line up with the edge of the door frame and silently run off by adding the D key last second. The next trick was recently shared on my Discord, which allows you to pixel walk above Squeeky. Credit to Sleepy Chris here. You need an orb or a scout and look for this dot right here. Only the horizontal alignment matters, so you can aim further down as well. Jump up to hut, hold W and jump at the last second, and you will play Nuke like it's 2015 again. Up here you can jump, but any movement will cause you to fall down. For an easier lineup you can also aim in between the first two letters of this sticker right here. But aim a tiny bit more towards the A, so the second letter. Then do the same jump backwards. To show how incredibly precise the lineup is, I will now aim 0.01 degree to the side. The correct angle is 90.04. So lining up without a sniper is impossible, right? But playing an orb or a scout up here is not ideal, so how do we get an M4 up there? You could find a lineup outside and trade guns with your teammate before going in sideways. This works, but the lineup is still too precise and two players on the team will be late to their positions, so they will probably die miserably. But then, do you remember the Ropz method to line up pixel perfect smokes? 2 years ago I created a config which allows you to line up the instant Xbox smoke on Dust 2. The video about it was quite well received and recognized by great names in the community. We can use the same method here again. Moving a mouse on a certain DPI is like moving on a grid. Using a normal to high DPI, any movement picked up by the mouse will only move the crosshair a tiny bit. If we now use an extremely low DPI, a single mouse input will now move the crosshair further. For normal gameplay this is unplayable. But since we know exactly in which angle we spawn in, we can use this formula to calculate the sensitivity which jumps directly to the desired angle with a single mouse input. In this formula A represents the angle we need to move our crosshair, X is the sensitivity and Y is the value of the command myaw, which is basically a sensitivity multiplier for the horizontal axis only. When solving for the sensitivity using the default value for myaw, which is 0.022, the result will be a very high sensitivity. This worked in CSGO, but in CS2 the highest possible value you can set your sensitivity to is 8, probably to restrict the console lineups as well as other shenanigans. With a fixed sensitivity of 8, we now solve for Y, the desired myaw value. What we now do in game is to recognize the 1 out of 8 spawns we have been given without moving the crosshair at all. Opening the console at the end of the round ensures that. Then we execute the config which I've written that contains all the necessary sensitivities to the respective spawns. Now we type in a keyword for the spawn we're in. This is either the number of the spawn or a reference point where the crosshair currently points to. In this instance we got the spawn number 5, so we can either simply type 5 or type jump, because we're looking at the jump up to heaven. All spawns and their keywords will be printed in the console after executing my config. Now it's best to lower the DPI. I'm using a switch on my mouse which changes the DPI from 800 to 100, as long as I hold mouse 4. After snapping to the correct position, we hit the O key to lock our sensitivity to 0, so we can move our mouse freely without messing up the lineup. After the trick is done, we will press P to change back to our normal playing sensitivity. Here you can see the other spawn positions and their keywords. Spawn 1 is the best outside spawn and is looking into the wall, so the keyword is either 1, out or wall. Spawn 2 is looking at a yellow sign, so the keyword is yell. Spawn 3 is looking straight ahead, so the keyword is STR. Spawn 4 is looking left, so the keyword is left. Spawn 6 is looking at a metal beam, so the keyword is beam. Spawn 7 and 8 are both looking into the silo on the left and share their starting angles, so the keyword for both spawns is silo. Keep in mind that there is a bug which allows spawn points in pistol rounds to be chosen that are normally only available in casual modes. These won't work here. Also an important heads up if you want to use this method. There are some cases where players have been wrongfully perma-banned by VAC Live for using a very high DPI and spinning in circles to look like a spin bot. Some of them have been unbanned recently, but others are still waiting even months after the ban. I've tested my config extensively online by spinning like a madman, shooting enemies in between and using it to jump into the pixel walk. No ban was triggered, but use it at your own risk. Thanks for watching and see you next time with probably just a simple smoke lineup.